The massive holographic display flickered to life in the United Nations Emergency Council chamber. The room fell silent as the alien transmission began, showing the stern faces of the Galactic Council representatives. Their varied forms, some humanoid, others distinctly alien, filled the screen with an imposing presence. General Mark Thompson stood rigid, his weathered face betraying no emotion as the lead council member, a tall being with silvery skin, began to speak. The alien's words came through the universal translator in clear, cold English. People of Earth, this is your final warning. Your species has advanced too quickly, too recklessly. You have achieved in centuries what other races took millennia to develop. The Council has determined that humanity represents an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. The general's hand tightened on his command tablet, but he remained silent. Around him, the other world leaders and military commanders watched with varying degrees of visible anger and concern. You have 2 of your Earth cycles, 48 hours, to submit to voluntary quarantine. All space travel will cease. All advanced weapons research will end. Accept these terms, or face immediate extinction. The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. For several seconds, no one spoke. Then the room erupted into chaos. They can't do this. The Russian president slammed his fist on the table. We have rights. Rights. The Chinese premier laughed bitterly. To them, we're barely more than smart animals. General Thompson cleared his throat, and the room fell quiet again. Everyone knew what his presence here meant. For 20 years, he had led Earth's secret space defense initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, his voice steady, this is the moment we've been preparing for. He pressed a button on his tablet, and a new hologram appeared, this one showing a complex network of hidden military installations across the solar system. When we detected their first stealth probes 15 years ago, we knew this day would come. The Council has always eliminated potential rivals before they could become true threats. He paused, allowing a small smile to cross his face. But they've never faced anything like us. The general brought up another display, showing massive underground shipyards hidden beneath the moon's surface. We've been building our defense force in secret, using their own technology against them. Every civilian space mission for the past decade has been gathering intelligence. The UN Secretary General leaned forward. How many ships? Enough, Thompson replied. But our real advantage isn't in our ships. It's in what they don't know about us. He showed them footage of advanced weapon tests, demonstrations of technology that officially didn't exist. They think we're centuries behind them. In some ways, we've already surpassed them. They expect us to either submit or launch a desperate, doomed resistance. And what do you suggest instead? Asked the British Prime Minister. Thompson's smile grew darker. We give them exactly what they expect. At first, we'll appear to submit, to surrender. Meanwhile, we activate the sleeper agents we've planted throughout their worlds. We've had people in place for years, gathering data, sabotaging systems, preparing for this exact scenario. The room grew quiet as the implications sank in. Humanity had known about the threat for years and had prepared in secret, building defenses while appearing vulnerable and primitive to their watchers. They see us as primitive because we still fight wars, still struggle with unity, Thompson continued. But that's our strength. We understand conflict in ways they've forgotten. We know how to fight, how to deceive, how to win against superior forces. He looked around the room, meeting each leader's eyes. We have 48 hours before we need to respond. That's 48 hours to put our real plan into motion. Every ship, every weapon, every agent is in place. We just need to give the word. The Secretary General stood slowly. Put it to a vote. All in favor of implementing Protocol Omega. One by one, hands raised. The vote was unanimous. General Thompson nodded and sent out a single coded message from his tablet. The wolf is in the fold. Across the solar system, hidden facilities hummed to life. Beneath the moon's surface, Ships' engines began warming up. Throughout alien worlds, sleeper agents received their activation codes. The Council had made a crucial mistake. They thought they were dealing with a young, primitive species. Instead, they had just declared war on humanity at its most dangerous. Humanity with its back against the wall. Humanity united against a common threat. They would soon learn just how vicious Earth's revenge could be. The next morning, Earth sent its response to the Galactic Council. The transmission showed General Thompson standing alone, his military uniform pristine, his expression one of defeated acceptance. "Honorable members of the Council," he began, his voice heavy with apparent resignation. "Earth accepts your terms. We will submit to quarantine. All space operations will cease within 12 hours. In the Council's Grand Chamber, the alien leaders watched with satisfaction. The silver-skinned head counselor turned to his fellows. "See, they are reasonable after all. Like all young species, they know when to bow to wisdom." But on their private channel, several Council security officers were less certain. "This seems too easy," one wrote. "Humans are known for their stubbornness." "Perhaps they finally understand their place," another replied. "Send the containment fleet anyway." Standard procedure. Back on Earth, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Thompson ended the transmission and turned to his staff. His fake expression of defeat transformed into a sharp, predatory smile. "Signal our agents," he ordered. "Operation Shadow begins now." Across the galaxy, seemingly ordinary workers on countless alien worlds received the coded message. They had lived among the aliens for years, posing as simple merchants, mechanics, and maintenance workers. Many were married to aliens, had children, lived completely normal lives. But each one was a highly trained military operative. On the Council's capital world, a maintenance worker named Jack finished his shift at the Planetary Defense Control Center. As he had done for 3 years, he waved goodbye to his alien colleagues. But today, he left behind a tiny device, no bigger than a grain of sand, hidden in the main computer. Similar scenes played out across hundreds of worlds. Small devices activated, viruses uploaded, defense systems subtly altered. None of these changes would show up on standard scans. Everything appeared normal. The Council's containment fleet moved into position around Earth. 5,000 ships, the largest fleet deployment in recent history. Their sensors showed Earth's few primitive space stations powering down. Satellites went dark. Everything matched the expected pattern of surrender. "Final scan of the solar system," the fleet commander ordered. "Confirm their compliance." The scans showed exactly what they expected. A primitive race surrendering to superior force. The massive sensor arrays built into Jupiter's moons remained perfectly hidden, cloaked by technology reverse-engineered from crashed Council ships decades ago. In his command center, General Thompson received the updates. Everything was proceeding according to plan. The Council fleet had positioned itself exactly where Earth's strategists had predicted. "Send the signal to Luna Base," he ordered. Deep beneath the moon's surface, in vast chambers that had taken 15 years to build in secret, rows of ships powered up. They were smaller than Council vessels, but packed with experimental weapons and advanced AI systems. Each one represented a perfect fusion of stolen alien technology and human innovation. "Sir," his aide reported, "all sleeper agents confirm ready. Defense sabotage is in place. The Council fleet remains unaware of our preparations." Thompson nodded. "And Project Nightfall. The nanite swarms are primed and ready. Our agents have planted the delivery systems on every major Council world." The general checked the time. Only 6 hours had passed since their surrender. The Council forces were still settling into their containment positions, confident in their complete victory. "Send the second transmission to the Council," Thompson ordered. "Let's keep them comfortable for a few more hours." The message was brief. Earth thanking the Council for their wisdom and mercy, promising full cooperation with the quarantine. More lies designed to lower their guard even further. In orbit, Council ships began powering down to conservation levels. Their crews relaxed, thinking their mission was essentially complete. None of them noticed the small changes in their defense systems, the tiny alterations in their sensor readings. "Sir," the aide reported, "final confirmation from all units. We are ready to begin Phase 2. General Thompson looked at the tactical display, showing the positions of every Council ship. Each one was now exactly where Earth wanted them. The trap was set. "Tomorrow," he said quietly, "they learn why you should never corner a human. Send the order to all units. Prepare for Operation Daybreak. We attack at dawn." Around the solar system, humanity's hidden forces waited silently. The real war was about to begin, and the Council had no idea what was coming. Dawn broke over the lunar surface. In the massive underground chambers of Luna Base, red warning lights flashed silently. Thousands of crew members rushed to their stations, each one trained for this moment over years of secret preparations. Captain Lisa Ward stood on the bridge of the ESS Vengeance, Earth's first true battleship. Around her, the bridge crew worked at their stations, running final checks on systems that no alien race believed humans could possess. "All ships report ready, Captain," her first officer reported. "The Council fleet remains in standby mode." Through the ship's advanced viewing screens, she could see the other vessels of Earth's hidden fleet. 500 ships, each one smaller than the Council's massive cruisers, but packed with surprises that would change the face of warfare forever. "Status of the Council's defense systems?" she asked. "Compromised as planned, Captain. Their shields will operate at only 40% capacity. Weapons systems are locked in safety mode. They won't know until they try to fire." In his command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Thompson watched the tactical displays. Everything was in position. The Council fleet floated lazily above Earth, their crews probably sleeping, confident in their superiority. "All ships, execute Operation Daybreak," he ordered. On the Moon's surface, massive doors slid open in hidden craters. Earth's ships rose silently, their advanced stealth systems, reversed engineered from a dozen alien races, making them nearly invisible. Captain Ward checked her tactical display. Her ship led one of 5 battle groups, each targeting a different section of the Council fleet. "All hands, battle stations," she ordered. "Activate the Gray Swarm." Throughout the fleet, special chambers hummed to life. Inside them, billions of microscopic robots awakened, humanity's secret weapon. Each one was smaller than a human cell, but together they formed a weapon unlike anything the galaxy had seen. "Enemy ships still show no signs of alarm," her tactical officer reported. "Gray Swarm ready for deployment." "Begin the attack," Ward ordered. "Release the swarms." From every Earth ship, clouds of nanites streamed out into space. They moved like silver mist, approaching the Council ships silently. The alien sensors, designed to detect energy weapons and conventional explosives, didn't even notice them. In his command center, General Thompson watched the first phase of the attack unfold. "Signal all agents," he ordered. "Begin system shutdowns." Across the Council fleet, critical systems suddenly failed. Engines died. Weapons remained locked. Communications cut out. The mighty alien ships became helpless in space. Captain Ward watched as the Gray Swarm reached the first Council ship. The nanites swarmed over its hull, disabling weapons, cutting through armor, and spreading throughout the vessel's systems. More importantly, they left the life support intact. Earth wanted prisoners, not casualties. Council ships attempting emergency procedures, her tactical officer reported with a grim smile. "Their backup systems are activating exactly as we planned." The backup systems were traps prepared by Earth's agents over years of infiltration. Instead of restoring power, they locked the ships down completely. In the Council fleet, panic spread as commanders realized their situation. Their mighty ships, each one capable of destroying a planet, hung powerless in space. Through their windows, they watched in horror as Earth's primitive fleet emerged from hiding. "All ships secured," Ward's tactical officer reported. "No casualties on either side." General Thompson nodded in satisfaction. This was just the first phase, but it had worked perfectly. Send the message to the Council flagship, he ordered. On every Council ship, screens came to life showing Thompson's face. This time, there was no fake submission in his expression. Members of the Galactic Council, he began, you thought humans were too dangerous to be allowed freedom. You were right, but not in the way you imagined. We could have destroyed your ships. Instead, we disabled them. We could have killed your crews. Instead, we took them prisoner. He leaned forward, his eyes hard. This is not just a demonstration of power. This is a demonstration of mercy, something your council never showed to other races. Remember that in the days to come. As the message played, Earth's ships moved into position around the helpless council fleet. In the depths of space, more human vessels emerged from hiding near other council worlds, ready to begin the next phase of humanity's response. The real war was just beginning, and humanity had taken the first round without firing a single traditional shot. Send word to all Earth forces, Thompson ordered. Phase 2 begins now. The Council's central defense station on their capital world exploded in a shower of sparks. Alarms blared as systems crashed one after another. The alien technicians rushed from console to console, their panicked voices filling the command center. We're locked out of everything. One supervisor shouted. Defense grid, orbital platforms, planetary shields, all offline. On thousands of screens across the capital, the same message flashed in the Council's official language. Your safety protocol is AKVDBEN compromised. Jack, the human maintenance worker, who had planted the virus 3 days ago, calmly walked out of the building during the chaos. His part was done. As he reached the street, he looked up at the sky and smiled. Right on schedule, the first human ships were appearing through the cloud cover. General Thompson watched the coordinated attacks unfold on his tactical display. Hundreds of human ships emerged from hiding near key council worlds. Each vessel carried upgraded versions of the Gray Swarm that had disabled the containment fleet at Earth. Status report, he ordered. All primary targets neutralized, his aide reported. Planetary defenses are down on 18 major council worlds. Their space stations are disabled. Ground forces are cut off from orbital support. In orbit above the council capital, Captain Ward's battle group led the assault. The EF's Vengeance moved through the disabled defensive screens like a knife through paper. Deploy ground forces, she ordered. Remember, minimal casualties. We're here to capture, not kill. From the belly of each Earth ship, drop pods launched toward the surface. Inside them were Earth's best soldiers, wearing powered armor that made them look like walking tanks. Each suit contained enough firepower to level a small city, but that wasn't their primary weapon. All units, activate sonic pacification systems, the ground force commander ordered as they landed. The suits emitted specific frequencies that affected the inner ear of most alien species, causing dizziness and disorientation without permanent harm. Council security forces collapsed in confusion as the human soldiers moved through government buildings. In the Council's grand chamber, the alien leaders were trying desperately to understand what was happening. Their mighty civilization, which had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years, was being systematically dismantled in less than an hour. How is this possible? The head counselor demanded. They were primitive. We watched them for decades. The chamber doors burst open. Human soldiers in powered armor walked in, their steps echoing in the sudden silence. Behind them came General Thompson himself, having teleported down from his command center using technology the Council thought was centuries beyond human capability. You watched what we wanted you to watch, Thompson said, his voice carrying across the chamber. Every primitive rocket launch, every clumsy attempt at spaceflight, all of it was theater, designed to keep you overconfident. He walked to the center of the chamber, looking at each council member in turn. While you watched our space program stumble, Our real ships were being built in underground facilities across the solar system. While you laughed at our primitive technology, we were reverse engineering every piece of alien tech we could find. Impossible, one counselor shouted. Our stealth systems are perfect. We would have detected. Your stealth systems, Thompson interrupted, were compromised 40 years ago when your first scout ship crashed in the desert. We've been reading your mail ever since. On screens around the chamber, reports poured in from across council space. Every major military installation was under human control. The Gray Swarm had disabled their fleets. Ground forces had surrendered to the sonic weapons without a shot being fired. Sir, Captain Ward's voice came through Thompson's communicator. All primary objectives secured. Casualties minimal on both sides. Council space is under our control. Thompson looked at the stunned alien leaders. Now then, he said, pulling up a chair at their table, let's discuss the terms of your surrender. And this time, we'll be the ones making the rules. The head counselor, his silvery skin pale with shock, looked at the human general with new understanding. You could have destroyed us completely, he said slowly. Why didn't you? Thompson smiled grimly. Because that's the difference between us. You wanted to cage us like animals. We just want to make sure you never threaten Earth again. Now shall we begin the negotiations? Outside, more human ships appeared in the skies of Council worlds. Earth's victory was complete, achieved without a single death on either side. The galaxy would never be the same. Deep beneath the surface of the Council's fortress world, in a bunker that hadn't been opened for 1,000 years, the remaining Council military leaders gathered in emergency session. Their faces were grim as they reviewed the devastating reports from across their territory. We must use the Star Killer, Admiral Rex, their supreme military commander, declared. His scaled face showed no emotion, but his tail twitched with nervous energy. It's our only hope of stopping these humans. The Star Killer was the Council's most closely guarded secret, a weapon so powerful it could make a sun go supernova. They had built it centuries ago, but never dared to use it. In his temporary command center in the captured Council chambers, General Thompson watched their secret meeting through hidden cameras that Earth's agents had planted years ago. He smiled as he heard their plans. Sir, an aide reported, they're powering up the Star Killer facility on the 4th moon of their fortress world. Right on schedule, Thompson replied. Signal Captain Ward. The ESS Vengeance and its battle group were already in position near the fortress world. They had been waiting for this moment. Captain Ward stood on her bridge, watching the massive weapon facility slowly power up. All ships, deploy special forces, she ordered. Operation Ghost is go. From the Earth ships, small craft shot out, completely invisible to Council sensors. Inside each one were troops wearing the most advanced stealth suits ever created. The suits bent light around them, making them truly invisible. Inside the Star Killer facility, Council technicians worked frantically to power up the ancient weapon. None of them noticed the slight shimmer in the air as human soldiers moved silently through their halls. Targeting system online, one technician reported, preparing to lock onto Sol's system. Suddenly, all the screens in the facility went dark. When they came back on, they showed a simple message. Thank you for activating the Star Killer. Control systems now transferred to Earth Command. The Council technicians stared in horror as their own weapon turned against them. Human soldiers appeared out of thin air, their stealth suits deactivating. The facility was captured without a single shot fired. Back in the secret bunker, Admiral Rex received the news with disbelief. Impossible. The Star Killer was our last secret. How did they know? A voice came from the shadows of the bunker. We knew because we helped build it. The Council leaders spun around as more human soldiers appeared, led by Jack, the same agent who had disabled the capital's defenses. He wasn't wearing maintenance worker clothes anymore, but a commander's uniform. Your own construction crews were infiltrated decades ago, Jack explained. Every secret weapon you built has our backdoors built into them. We didn't just steal your technology. We improved it, then let you build it into your own defenses." In the captured council chambers, General Thompson watched as the last resistance crumbled. The mighty council, which had ruled the galaxy through fear of their superior weapons, now found themselves helpless. "Sir," Captain Ward reported from the Star Killer facility, "we've finished downloading their weapons database. You won't believe what we found. They have planet-crushing bombs that won't work because we sabotaged them years ago. Massive fleets that can't fly because we built their engines with hidden flaws." Thompson nodded. "Send the final message to all Council worlds." Across the galaxy, on every Council planet, station, and ship, screens came to life. They showed images of the captured Star Killer, the compromised weapons, the complete infiltration of their society. "People of the Council," Thompson's voice announced, "your leaders have surrendered. Their secret weapons are under our control. Their fleets are disabled. But we are not here to destroy or conquer." He paused, letting the words sink in. "Earth offers peace, real peace, not the false peace of terror that your council ruled by. Surrender now, and you will be treated fairly. Resist." The Star Killer facility lit up behind him, its massive power now under human control. "And we will be forced to demonstrate why challenging humanity was their greatest mistake." Across Council space, worlds began signaling their surrender. The age of Council dominance was over. In less than a week, humanity had done what no other race had managed in 10,000 years. They had broken the Council's power forever. The Council's last remaining loyal fleet gathered near the ancient world of First Light, where their civilization had begun 10,000 years ago. 300 ships, commanded by the most hardline Council admirals who refused to surrender, prepared for one final desperate attack. "We will not bow to primitive apes." Admiral Rex shouted over the fleet's command channel. "We still have the darkness weapon. With it, we can tear their neural systems apart." In Earth's new command center, built in the captured Council chambers, General Thompson watched the desperate gathering with calm eyes. Beside him, Jack, now revealed as Earth's Chief of Intelligence, reviewed the incoming data. "They really think the darkness weapon will save them," Jack said, shaking his head. "Should we tell them?" Thompson smiled. "Let them try to use it. Sometimes the best lesson is a demonstration." Above First Light, Admiral Rex ordered the activation of a massive ring-shaped structure hidden in orbit. The darkness weapon was the Council's most terrible creation, designed to attack the nervous systems of entire species at once. "Weapon charging at 50%, a Council technician reported. "Target locked on Earth's coordinates." Rex smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "Let's see how brave these humans are when their entire species collapses in agony." The weapon reached full power. Energy crackled around the massive ring as it prepared to fire. Rex gave the command, expecting to see reports of humans falling across their conquered territory. Nothing happened. "Sir," the technician said, voice shaking, "the weapon, it's turning." The massive energy ring rotated slowly, aiming at the Council fleet instead of Earth. On every Council ship, screens lit up showing Captain Ward's face. "Did you really think," she asked, "that we didn't know about your neural weapon? We've controlled it for years. Your own scientists built our control systems into it, and they never even knew." Rex stared in horror as the weapon powered up again. "Impossible. Our scientists would never." "Your scientists," Ward interrupted. "Half of them were our agents. The other half were too afraid of the Council to question their orders. Here, let me show you something interesting." The weapon fired. Instead of deadly neural energy, it released a wave of calm, peaceful feelings. Council crew members suddenly felt all their anger and hate melt away. "A nice improvement, don't you think?" Ward asked. "We turned your terror weapon into a peace inducer. Don't worry. The effect is temporary, just long enough for you to think clearly about your next choice." In the command center, Thompson watched as the Council fleet's weapons powered down one by one. The crews, influenced by the modified darkness weapon, chose peace over pointless destruction. All ships are standing down, Jack reported. The last holdouts are surrendering. Thompson nodded. Send in the medical ships. I want every Council crew member checked for adverse effects from the peace wave. We're not here to harm anyone. Admiral Rex, his mind cleared of hate by the weapon's effect, slumped in his command chair. We spent thousands of years building weapons to control the galaxy through fear, he said quietly, and you turned them all into tools of peace. That's the difference between us, Thompson replied through the comm. You built weapons to destroy. We modify them to protect. You sought control through fear. We offer progress through cooperation. Throughout the Council fleet, crews were coming to the same realization. The humans hadn't just defeated them. They had done it while finding ways to avoid unnecessary death and destruction. Sir, Jack reported, we're getting surrender signals from the last independent Council worlds. It's over. Thompson looked at the tactical display showing the galaxy. Points of light represented every world, station, and ship now under Earth's control. Not through destruction or terror, but through careful planning, infiltration, and a determination to win without wholesale slaughter. Send word to Earth, he ordered. Tell them the war is won. And he smiled. Tell them to prepare for peace. We have a galaxy to rebuild. The modified darkness weapon powered down, leaving behind a fleet of Council ships filled with crew members who, for the first time in their lives, could think clearly about their civilization's future. The age of fear was over. The time of peace was about to begin. 1 month after the surrender of the last Council forces, representatives from every spacefaring race gathered in the great chamber that had once housed the Galactic Council. The room had been transformed. Where once there had been raised platforms to show the Council's superiority, now all seats were arranged in a circle of equality. General Thompson stood at the speaking position, looking at the assembled delegates. Beside him stood Captain Ward and Jack, all three now wearing new uniforms that displayed Earth's symbol alongside a new emblem. A galaxy with joined hands at its center. Welcome to the first meeting of the Galactic Alliance, Thompson began. We are here not to replace one form of control with another, but to build something new. The alien representatives watched carefully. Many had expected Earth to simply take the Council's place as galactic rulers. Instead, they had spent the past month seeing a very different approach. Our first act, Thompson continued, is to share our medical technology. The gray swarm that disabled your ships has been reprogrammed. It can now cure diseases that have plagued your peoples for centuries. Murmurs of surprise filled the chamber. The former head counselor, now serving as a regular representative, stood up. You mean to tell us, he said slowly, that the weapon you used to defeat us can heal? Captain Ward stepped forward. Every technology can be used for help or harm. We choose to help. The same nanites that could have torn your ships apart can repair damaged bodies, clean polluted worlds, and build new homes. Jack activated a holographic display showing the modified Star Killer facility. Even this, he explained, has been transformed. Instead of destroying stars, it can now restart dying ones. 3 dead solar systems have already been revived. The chamber erupted in amazed discussion. These were gifts beyond anything they had expected from their conquerors. But there are conditions, Thompson said, bringing attention back to him. 3 simple rules for membership in the Alliance. He held up one finger. First, no species may be denied the right to advance. The strong must help the weak grow, not hold them back. A second finger rose. Second, all technology must be shared for peaceful purposes. No more hoarding of medical cures or scientific breakthroughs. Finally, the third finger. Third, any attack on one member world is an attack on all. We stand together, or we fall alone. The chamber was silent as the representatives considered these terms. They were revolutionary ideas in a galaxy that had lived under the Council's restrictive rule for millennia. And if we refuse, asked one delegate. Thompson smiled. Then you remain free to govern your worlds as you wish, as long as you don't threaten others. We're not here to force anyone to join. We're here to offer a better way. Captain Ward activated another display, showing the massive fleet of Earth ships now protecting trade routes between worlds. The ships were already being modified, turned from weapons of war into exploration vessels and emergency response craft. Our victory showed that humanity can be terrifying when threatened, she said. But we would rather be known for what we can build than what we can destroy. Jack stepped forward with a final announcement. As a show of good faith, Earth is releasing all technical data on our stealth systems, FTL drives, and medical technology. By the end of today, every world will have access to everything we know. The chamber erupted in cheers. Representatives who had arrived expecting harsh terms of surrender found themselves planning joint scientific missions instead. Thompson watched with satisfaction as former enemies began talking excitedly about possibilities for cooperation. This was what Earth had fought for, not just to prevent their own imprisonment, but to free the galaxy from millennia of fear and control. Send word to Earth, he told his aide. Tell them Operation New Dawn is complete. The real work of building a better galaxy can begin. As the session ended, representatives from 100 worlds lined up to sign the Alliance Charter. Above them, the Chamber's dome showed a real-time view of the galaxy, no longer divided into Council territory and free space, but united under a single promise. Together, they would build a future worthy of all their peoples. The age of Earth's revenge was over. The age of galactic cooperation had begun.